and welcome to Down the Slope. As ever, I'm Ewan, and this week I'm joined by Greg after his week away. How you doing, Greg?
I'm very well. How are you?
Not too bad, mate. And Liam's with us as well. And we've not got any Harry, so there'll be no awkward pauses tonight between Liam and Harry, just excusing each other. How you doing, Liam?
I am doing all right. There may be some awkward pauses because I can't see Greg's body language, which is usually a tell for whether he's going to speak or not. So that might be a new cause of awkwardness tonight. But I'm sure we'll ride with it. We'll be all good.
Aye. So good weekend, boys.
Yep.
Awkward pause.
Started off with a good trip through to Kirkcaldy on Friday.
Can't say that often for going through the fights. cut the listeners by half. Everyone who fights just turned off. It was nice. It was nice over in Kirkcaldy on Friday night. Actually, football in the sun is always nice. Yeah. Greg, would you? I guess it always poses the question when pre-season time, summer football in Scotland, should it happen? For me, it's a no. I mean, like I don't think our weather's not that much better. We get 1 week of sunshine and then it starts pissing again.
Yeah, summer football's a no-no. It's all right to start in July, but certainly nothing absolutely ridiculous like playing through the summer because it ends up just pushing through anyway. So waste of time for them.
Liam, did you manage
to offer a different opinion? Can I offer a different opinion on that?
Absolutely.
So I disagree. I disagree for a couple of reasons. I think the weather's definitely a factor. I know it still pitches to and stuff, but you get less games abandoned, less games called off than that if it's played in the summer. I also think we've been, I think, quite lucky to avoid one of them. But see, when you come against these Scandinavian teams in Europe who are like in the middle of their fucking season and they've played like 14 games and you come up against them and they're match fit. And I know that doesn't happen every year for us, but I think just to get a wee bit more of a start in them, it would be helpful for us to have started our season. Plus, just like there is something really magical about going to the game like in a shorts and a t-shirt, having had a few bevies before it, walking up Teester Road, quite buzzing because I think that's hopefully what's going to happen on Thursday night. Hopefully get a good bit of weather and a few pints beforehand. Looking forward to it.
Hopefully. Do you think, see when we talk about summer football, do you think, I think everyone always thinks like April through to like October time, but for me, if it was ever going to work, it would need to be like maybe June, because you're talking about from a European point of view. It's all very well and good, but if your season finishes in say early October, if you were to benefit and say qualify for the group stages of a competition, the group stages run till Christmas, and then if you were to then even progress through the group, you'd be like in the middle of your middle of your off season by the time the knockout stages come out. I think that happened to Russian summer football. I want to say someone. Was it maybe when Zenit beat Celtic? Their season had already finished, I think, and then that's why there was so much under Rodgers when Zenit absolutely pumped them. I like the summer football, but I like it because it's pre-season. I don't know if I'd want to play Hearts in 20 odd degrees. Like you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that. I'd much rather be freezing cold, and I don't know why we minging night under the lights and that. But hey, do you think it'd be better long term for Scottish football? Just quality pitches and stuff like that as well. Better so we get a better quality football.
I think the standard of football would be better. I think for younger players' development as well, they need as many minutes on the grass as they can possibly get. So I think for young people, the arguments is there. We all remember being kids growing up in the months of November, December, January. All of our games would be called off due to a waterlogged pitch more often than not.
Yeah.
So I think that like the business case is there to make it happen. I think it's just a tradition, isn't it? Like, you know, you'd lose the Boxing Day game, you'd lose the 2nd of January game, which would be a wrench. Like, don't get me wrong, that would feel shit. But you know, you would replace it with something else. You know, so yeah.
Anyway, we're not here to talk about summer football. I just brought that up on a complete aside. Hibs had 2 pre-season friendlies last week. Won them both. Obviously started against Arsenal. Greg, obviously you were away on your trip, so I don't think you got a chance to catch the game. I was there, luckily enough. Liam, you managed to catch the majority of it online. Were you impressed with what you seen?
Aye, like fucking. I think everyone we talk about tonight has to come with a major caveat. It's pre-season, right? And you can't get too excited or too downbeat about pre-season, but they looked well organised. I think the players looked quite fit. I thought for the periods of time that we did have the ball, I thought we kept it well. I thought when we broke, we were quite incisive. I thought we defended pretty well, considering some of the pressure we came under. There was probably about a 15-20 minute spell in the second half where, to use a footballing cliche, we had to weather the storm a wee bit, but we came through it. So I think all in all, it was a pretty good performance, and we got to see minutes into some players who I think we've all been quite looking forward to seeing, like Mackay and Bradley and Scott Allen, of course, as well, which was I think a real positive step for us.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I thought the first half was really good. I felt like obviously I was surprised by how strong Arsenal were. I think, did we maybe speak about this on last week's podcast? We were trying to think how many players they did or didn't have at like the Euros and the Copa America and stuff, and we weren't sure. But like, you seen the Arsenal team and they had like Eddie Nketiah, who like obviously not a massive household name, but I'm pretty sure he's like they're going to Crystal Palace for like 30 million or something. And like you've got Aubameyang up top, Willian started, who was like, I think he just priced himself out of a move to like Inter Miami or something because he was wanting over $100,000 a week. Like, played for Chelsea. Did they win the Champions League at Chelsea? Was he away by then, or was he even there by then? I can't mind. But I mean, there was plenty of players in that Arsenal team in the first half and the second half. They brought like Thomas Partey, Lacazette, etc. And I thought the team coped really well with it. And I felt like, especially in the second half, when you said, let's say, we had to weather the storm a wee bit. Like Lewis Stevenson's played that, he started the game, and then he's got like Nicholas Pepe who's coming on fresh at half time running at him, and I felt like he dealt with it really, really well, and that can only be a good thing. Same with Paul McGinn on the other side, and I look like obviously the goal was offside, but it was pre-season, who gives a fuck, and it wasn't a penalty. So like, you know what I mean, like that's what it is. And Ryan Poitras absolutely laid Aubameyang out, which was lovely to see. And it's always funny to beat English Premiership sides as well, isn't it? Just because Farmers League, Nan scores 50 goals, etc., etc., etc. And then we moved on to the Raith Rovers game. Greg, me and you headed over to Kirkcaldy. What did you make of Friday night's game?
I thought we were very good. I thought we started the game well. We got the goal, and then they kind of came into it, and then Christoph Berra came on, and it was game over within 3 minutes, and it went 3-0 up. So it wasn't even so much about the game, it was more just getting back to in the stand and sitting and watching it, and abusing Christoph Berra was a bonus. But no, I actually thought we were decent. It's a very warm night, but yeah, I just thought that we played with good intensity as well at times, and although the intensity wasn't there the full game, it's pre-season, so let's not get wet in the bed yet. But no, I thought we were good, and then Dre Wright came on and stole the show. It was unbelievable. Outside of the foot passes and everything.
I did think Dre Wright was really good when he came on. Of all the players that sort of came on in the second half, I felt he was the sub that made the most impact on the game. I'm just going to put a wee disclaimer out there. I think for me and Liam, Greg sounds all right, but when it comes to the podcast, he's on his phone because he's having an absolute laptop meltdown. So hopefully Greg's coming across pretty clear. He is for us on the meeting, but I hope that translates into the podcast.
I'm actually happy, so don't worry about
it. You're no mishearing things. And I think we said to each other, Greg, obviously, sort of, was it maybe 15-20 minutes in the game, it felt like quite a competitive game. Raith Rover, as much as it was a testimonial, it was being played at a good pace. Raith were sort of throwing a lot forward, and they're the sort of games I think that you probably get more from in pre-season, as opposed to, say we went out and say it was a League 2 team and went and pumped them 6-0. I think you get a lot more from playing a decent team at a decent pace. And in the second half, it got quite not a competitive edge, but it got quite fiery for like sort of last 20 minutes. There was plenty of tackles going in. Liam, you didn't see much of the game on Friday though, did you?
Nah, I didn't. I was out on Friday night for a bit, and I think the quality of the stream scuppered a few people's attempts to watch the game, so I wasn't going to part with £10 of my hard-earned cash to not watch it. But did see a lot of people talking about the game and obviously seeing the goals and stuff, and I had a wee bit of a question for you guys. I wonder if you think, do you reckon that Dre Wright might actually be this season's Joe Newell, if you like, in terms of being a bit of a turnaround player? So I know Joe Newell obviously had a bit of a rocky start to his career, as did Doidge, to be fair, as well. Do you guys think that Dre Wright's got the potential to turn it around based on that game, or are we getting a bit ahead of ourselves by thinking about that?
Probably a bit of both, but I think we mentioned it the other week, didn't we? Saying, like, he's only been here a year, and there is factors, as much as he was coming from St Johnstone, it's in the middle of a pandemic. I think I mean, stupid stuff. I think I remember on his very first interview, he said he just had twins and stuff like that. Like, there's, you know what I mean? There's loads of things that can go on, and he did impress me. And against Rafe, I mean, some people say, "Oh, that's his level, pre-season friendly against Championship." You know what I mean? Depends if you're glass half full or glass half empty. But I thought he was decent, and I'm not screaming for him to go. You know what I mean? I don't think he'll be a starter, but I think he'll contribute. And I thought he had some really nice touches and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, if we're all getting excited over sort of Scott Allen's nice touches and stuff as well, then I think it's only right that we praise Dre Wright when he does similar stuff as well. Greg, what did you make?
Yeah, everyone knows I'm very much glass half full, so I think you need to praise a good performance when you see it. But nah, look, everyone can say, "Oh, that's his level," but at the same time, he still needs to perform. You know, I was saying to you at the game, like, these players have got levels. Like, they don't just have one level, like me, and that's it. So no, I thought he was good. I think quite a good option to come off the bench. I don't know, just for the pace, and he was actually quite direct on Friday. So it's just a different option. But I think that it was very easy to start slating players. I've done it myself. It's just too easy because they're there. But no, I think that if he can get a good start to this season, or actually get minutes at the start of the season, I think see him feature quite a bit. But yeah, I don't think he should be written off because we've seen it before with Newell and Doidge that writing players off is a very dangerous game.
I think, like, as well, like, I know it sounds stupid, but obviously being at the games, you do see different things. Like, from the Arsenal game, there's one pass that sticks out right in my mind just because it was like right in front of me. Gogic tried to play like this sort of through ball through to Scott Allen, and you could see exactly what he was trying to do, and it was on, and he's maybe, like, the guy's just intercepted. I think if you're watching that on the telly, you're like, oh, for fuck's sake, that's a 10-yard pass. How is that? But I think when you're at the game, you can maybe just see a little bit more of what's going on. You've got more of a view, and Dre Wright, he did impress me, I'll be honest. I thought he was decent. Maybe should have scored as well. Maybe probably wanted to take on his right foot too much, tried to bend it out the right side of his foot. It was a good save for the goalkeeper, to be fair. I think that's a sign of confidence as well. You know what I mean? If you're happy hitting shots with outside your foot, and he made a couple of really, like, Greg, I think when he was on the left side and he played a sort of 1-2, but it was like a wee sort of flick. Like, I try to remember, like, he chopped it and that. Like, I'm trying to fucking the term. It's fucking bare minimum stuff, but I
can't wait to slate him in 2 weeks when he's absolutely murder.
Do you know what really did come out of show for me on Friday night? People went on and on about how we have no squad depth. Did we make 10 subs on Friday night? I think.
Yeah.
I think was Paul McGinn the only player that played 90 minutes, or did he even? No, Paul McGinn and Porteous came off at the end as well. The only sub that didn't come on was Dabrowski. And then you look at the squad. Cadden wasn't in the squad. Murphy wasn't in the squad. Jake Doyle-Hayes wasn't in the squad. Mackey wasn't in the squad. So there's what, 20? So 11 started, 10 subs, 22. There's 27 players, 26, 27 players, and none of them looked out of place, I would say. I didn't think any of the subs looked like... I don't think Halberg was as good as Newell, for example, or I don't think that maybe like when Gogic came on, it was obviously a different option for McGuinness, and maybe at the back, obviously, like Jake Bryden came on. He's not going to be a regular starter, but and like Stevenson came on for Josh Doig. I didn't think there was much drop off there either. Like, we've got options, and then I don't think realistically the players that missed. We've just signed Jake Doyle-Hayes, so he's obviously going to be expected to be there or thereabouts. Cadden's definitely going to be expected to be there or thereabouts, and Jamie Murphy is as well. So I think we've got a lot of options, and I think what you've seen with Jack Ross in the last couple of days, maybe just a centre half and a striker. And I would agree. I don't think we're that far away. Liam, what do you think about the sort of squad options at the moment?
I think it's fine as long as no other bodies go out. But I think if we start to lose players, I think a centre back and a striker is no longer enough. I think we've got a bit more in the wide areas, like we were saying before, than we had last season. The other position for me is if Cadden's injury is quite severe, I would like to see us look at a senior right back to come in to play as well. But having said that, I think we're in a much better position than we've been in previous seasons because we've had so many players under contract. I think next year's a real pinch point for us because I think there's a lot of guys that have only got 1 year left on their contract. So this summer's fine. The turnover of players is relatively low, but next season might be a bit more of a pinch point. But also might opportunity to bring some fresh talent in and bring some fresh talent through the academies. I think you make some really good points with depth. The only thing I think I would say is there are quite a lot of players who are around the fringes of the first team who I don't think will be here come the Motherwell game or come the end of the window. I think there'll be a couple of the younger guys will almost definitely go out on loan. I think we'll probably move on. Potentially Hallberg, possibly Mackey, maybe a couple others. If the right kind of offer comes in for them. A lot of chat that Hallberg's looking to potentially go back to Sweden, which you guys know I'll be absolutely devastated about should anyone come. But luck to my Swedish brother from another mother. As long as he's happy, that's all that matters to me.
One player that when we done was it the end of season review or the start of pre-season one when we looked at the squad, one player that I had sort of totally written off was Josh Campbell, mainly because I thought when we were loaning players to League One and Championship sides, the fact he was in League Two last season, albeit having a really, really good season, I was just like, is that a sign of the fact that we're sort of, we don't really think he's got that much to develop, but got a lot of minutes against Arsenal. He came on fairly early against Arsenal, sort of around about the hour mark, and he came on, about 10, 15 minutes to go on Friday night, I think, Greg, and the position that he's played is number 10. He's coming in, and so it's almost as and I think that's maybe where he played for Edinburgh City last season. I think he scored quite a few goals for him. So I'm wondering potentially, is he going to be the backup to Scott Allen, because obviously Fraser Murray and Stevie Malin have left. And again, I thought he looked all right in both games. It'd be interesting to see how he goes. I think we've all said in previous pre-seasons we've been impressed with him, but I don't think we've really seen him play at number 10. So it'll be interesting to see how the season goes. Do you either of you know? Is it did we go back to seven on the bench and only 3 subs this season, or are we still sticking with? Are we still with the sort of COVID rules of 5 subs and 3 instances with the bigger benches? Do you know? I've not seen anything about it to suggest that it's changing or not.
It's up to the FAs of that country. I think, don't quote me on this, but I believe it's 3 subs. But I wouldn't put any money on that.
When the statement was originally released, it was for 1 season, and there's not been another statement that's followed to say that there's been an extension of that. But I mean, that could still be to be agreed, right? I mean, it would maybe unlike Scottish football for that to change on the eve of the first game of the season. We've seen bigger kind of changes in the run up to the start of the season. And that, I'll be honest, I'd probably be in support of the 5 substitute rule, because I think it gives young guys an opportunity to get some minutes into their legs, and I think there's just. I think there's just more opportunity. I know there's a bit of an argument that it benefits the bigger clubs more because they've got more quality on their benches, but I think we should look at what's right for the game. I think it's right for the game to have younger guys on there that can get minutes.
I don't mind it, and I think when it's sort of split between, like, you can make 5, but it's got to be between the 3 instances. Then it's not so bad as far as I'm concerned. And then see the argument you said about the sort of bigger teams and the smaller, but then in the same instance, say you're I was going to say a Hamilton, but they're obviously no longer in the league. But you're 1-0 up away from home, you can totally freshen up and bring on your defenders and get fresh legs. So I think it's swings and roundabouts in that side of things. We have got a good squad. Greg, who right now do you think is going to be the starting 11? Or what would you like to be the starting 11 on Thursday night against FC Santa? I keep calling them Santa Claus, but FC Santa Coloma or Coloma.
To be honest, I'd be happy to see the starting 11 from Friday night, and that includes Stevie Bradley. I wouldn't have an issue with that at all. I think it was a good side. Set up well. I think Stevie Bradley chipped him with a goal. He done well to get in the box. He read the situation well. So I wouldn't have any issues if he started the game. So for me, I would have to keep the same team.
McGuinness in centre mid with Joe Neal.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Scott Allen there as well.
Yeah. I think it'll be interesting. Something that we spoke about about in the Euros with the inverted sort of fullbacks and wing backs and stuff. In the Arsenal and the Raith Rovers game, Stevie Bradley's played on the right and Martin Boyle's played on the left. I don't know if that's just because Jamie Murphy's not fit. So if Jamie Murphy's fit, does he play on the left and Boyle's on the right? It'd be interesting to see if that's something that we keep going with, because I thought Boyle was still pretty effective on the left side. And I guess you've seen for his assist, he still managed to get to the byline and whip the ball across. By him playing on the left side, it also gives him the option to come inside. Do you know what I mean? I think when he's on the right, he's not a one-trick pony, but you know what I mean? He's always going to try and get to the byline and use his stronger foot. So that'll be interesting to see if we continue with that. Liam, do you think if Jamie Murphy's fit and potentially that's maybe why he didn't play against Rafe to just make sure no knocks on the 3G pitch, like he'd come straight back in on Thursday night? Or
Nah, I'm going to offer up something different. I think Dan Mackay will start ahead of Stevie Bradley on Thursday night. I know he's not played a huge number of minutes, but I just think he is so far the kind of marquee signing. I think that is an opportunity for him to go out and impress as well against a team where we're going to be on the front foot, we're going to be on the ball for the majority of the game. So I'd like to see us play Mackay and Boyle, and like to see those two get as close to Nisbet, who I'd guess is going to be the lone striker, given Doige is still kind of on his way back from COVID. I'd like to see them play. And I know Doig's back in training. He's probably not had enough pre-season minutes to warrant a start, or maybe not play the full 90 minutes, but I'd like to maybe see him in for Stevenson. But other than that, I think it will be kind of the same team. I do think the goalkeeping ones on Friday night, I did. Yeah. The goalkeeping one's up for a bit of debate now, I think, as well. I know you guys are, I think you guys are bigger fans of Matt Macy than I am, so I'm maybe looking for reasons to drop him. But I think Dabrowski, is going to push him very close this season. I think we might see a situation where we've got two keepers that have had a very similar number of starts at the end of the season, because I think it's a genuine fight for the jersey.
I would probably agree. I do think it's a genuine fight. I think Macy's got the edge right now. I think the fact he played 90 against Raith and it wasn't split for 50-50 sort of half time or even 60-30. I think Macy's number one going into the season, but Dabrowski's impressed me. I think he's always been really highly rated by like the sort of youth teams and stuff. And then I think anytime he's went on loan as well, he's always came back with sort of glowing reviews. I think he done well at Dumbarton before the season got suspended. I think was it Cowden Beefy was that as well. I think did he maybe get man of the match against Hearts? I think.
Yeah.
So I think it's a genuine, and he really impressed me against Arsenal. I was sitting in the West Ham sort of just behind the home dugout, so just sort of in that half, and he was constant. I know you probably expected from a goalkeeper, but he was constantly at the back line, constantly talking, which I think is really important. You seen we were right down the front on Friday night. I didn't feel like Matt Macy was doing that as much, but also we had a lot more of the ball against Raith Rovers than we did against Arsenal, so maybe Dabrowski's more having to tell the defenders where players are, etc. But I agree. I think it's a genuine competition, Mike, and I think if Macy makes mistakes, then I think Dabrowski's an adequate replacement for me. I think it'll be the same team that played Raith. I think Dan Mackay or Stevie Bradley's probably the main question, but Stevie Bradley's not done anything against Arsenal or Raith Rovers to suggest that he's not capable of playing. And again, I think it's just highlights how good the depth is in the squad at the moment. Greg, I think what we noticed on Friday night is how keen Dan Mackay was to get involved close to Kevin Nisbet. I mean, he was very tight. Stevenson was definitely the outball on the left-hand side more than Dan Mackay, would you say?
Yeah, I think that it's probably quite a good thing, because Dan Mackay then at that point becomes unpredictable and defenders can't deal with it and try and track him or whatever. And so yeah, I think he's very much of a fluid winger. He's not just going to stick to the left-hand side. He's going to try and drift in. He's going to try and link up and make things happen, which I'm all for. I don't mind that at all. Like I say, it makes it difficult for the defenders to track him and mark him. I was impressed with him on Friday night as well. Should have a penalty.
Should have a
penalty. Went into the box and he was brought down. But yeah, I mean, it's good to have options out wide. It's maybe not an area that we've really had options. obviously Jimmy Murphy gets some gibberish in his teeth, so he's one game in every 10. But yeah, I think it's definitely good, and he's a young lad. He's going to want to prove himself at the top level in Scotland, and it looks to be a good signing so far.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Obviously, throughout pre-season, we played 4-2-3-1. We've only had the one real striking option. Also, Jamie Gullen's there, but I mean, if against Arsenal, Jamie Gullen came on and Dan Mackay went up front. So I think Jamie Gullen's definitely seen as an option on the wide left more than a striker through the middle. Do you think as the season progresses, we'll go back to 2 up front? That'll be Jack Ross's preference. I do think in pre-season we've seen the benefit of having the more options out wide. I think we spoke about it before. The players behind the striker determine whether you can play 4-2-3-1. But I think this might be the formation, depending on how the European games go and probably the Motherwell game. Depending on Doidge's fitness, I think that'll be the way we start the season at least.
I think they also, I don't want to hark back too much to that game against St Johnstone, but I think let's talk about, because it's relevant to this point. I think we also have to find another way of breaking teams down, and if that's to play 2 proper wide men on either side that can isolate defenders, that can get by them, that can cause havoc in one-on-one situations, and that's our way of doing it. If that's Scott Allen picking up space in the number 10 position in the hole, as they like to say, and threading balls through, and that's the way we want to play. I think we need to have more dimensions to our play than just consistently playing 2 up front. But fans also need to get over themselves a wee bit as well, because this whole fucking facade that people think that because you play 1 up front doesn't mean that you're playing attacking football needs to go, man. Because there's a massive difference. You can play 4-2-3-1 on the front foot, and it can be like having 4 attackers at times. You can also play 4-4-2 with 2 sitting midfielders, and you get two centre forwards and no one else forward, or a 4-4-2 diamond where there's fewer players contributing. So I think if we do play 4-2-3-1,
3 centre halves and two fullbacks instead of wingers,
we do play 4-2-3-1, I think we need to get behind it, because I think Hibs fans have always kind of had this rhetoric that Hibs are only a football club that play 1 up front. We've always played 2 strikers. I'm sorry, but you need to just be able to adapt and adjust, and there'll be a time for us to play 2 strikers at some point during the season. But I think the 4-2-3-1 system could work well for us. It suits the personnel that we've got. We've signed all these wide players, so we need to play them. We're going to have 4 wingers sitting on the bench every week. So I'm quite looking forward to seeing us using the system. The only question mark I do have, it's quite a big question mark, is whether or not Doidge or Nisbet are actually really suited to being a lone striker. Time will tell, and time will tell whether even Nisbet's here for the beginning of the season. It might look very different by the time the beginning of August rolls around.
I think if it is Nisbet, I think he can do it. I do. I think his link-up play is good enough. Again, it's something that I've noticed being at the games, obviously. I think he, especially against Arsenal, I was quite impressed with how he managed to hold it up and put himself about. And then I think the biggest thing is, I think we've seen last season, he likes to drift now and again, maybe come out, but he does like to interlink with the play. He needs to get into the box to get his goals like he did on Friday night. Great finish. And that's where it comes, like what Liam said earlier, that if Nisbet is dropping deep, you need Dan Mackay getting into the box. If Boyle's got, you need Boyle getting into the box, whoever it is. And like Liam says, that's when it becomes an attacking 4 as opposed to 1 up front. Greg, you're always...
sorry, just to dive in there, I think that I see when people go, you need to play 2 up front, but you only need to play 2 up front if you're not getting the service to the strikers. I think we've got more than enough ability in the midfield to get service forward and supporting runners. And if we play Boyle and Mackay on the wing, for example, then they're going to get up in support. I don't believe in the whole, going to win in with 1 striker when it's totally incorrect. Do we need more goals from midfield? Absolutely. But we've got players there that can deliver goals. You've got 2 dangerous wingers, for example, that will play balls in the box for days. So I just think we bit a reality check that 2 up front doesn't always work. So
we've seen it enough times. We've seen a few times last season with 2 up front.
It's about partnerships in midfield as well. Like this we seem to fight last season for about 6 months of the season to find a centre midfield partnership that worked, because we either lacked creativity, or we lacked a stopper in centre midfield, or we lacked athleticism, which I think was probably the most kind of prolonged run of things that we lacked in the midfield. If we fall upon a balance that works, and if that balance is McGuinness and Newell, and with Allen in front of them, let's use that balance. I know Harry's not here to shout Papa Gogic should be playing every single minute of every single game this season. But I do think if you're going to go with kind of two holding midfield players, if you like, you want to call them that, two sitting midfield players, I do think you probably want to have a couple of guys who can get on the ball and who can make things happen, particularly against lesser opposition, which this Andorran team, let's not make any bones about it, they are lesser opposition. Like, we should be absolutely strolling this over two legs. And you know, that comment may well fucking come back to bite me in the arse, but we should be strolling it. You know, I'm not going to be like that English boy during the Euros, or take 5 or 6 off of me. I do think we should be strolling it. Was it 7 or 8? Fucking what a fucking prick. Farmers League, Andorra Farmers League. In all seriousness, find a balance, stick with the balance, make it work, and you know, a bit more width. Like, who doesn't love seeing wingers? See, some of my favourite memories at Easter Road are of these stand all rising to their feet at once when the likes of Ivan Sproul, when the likes of Kevin Harper, even, you know, those wingers of that time, they get you excited when they isolate players, when they run one-on-one at them. We didn't see Boyle do that enough last season. Like, he did it in bits, but not enough.
That's what I was going to say. You've got, even like the modern day version of it, when you're at the ground, when Martin Boyle gets the ball, like on, even sometimes on the edge of your box, say it's for breaking for a corner, that everyone's like, right, go on. Like, and everyone loves wingers. I think everyone loves wingers. They're the most entertaining players in the world. Even at the top level, Mbappe's a forward winger. Ronaldo in his peak was forward winger. Messi, even when he started, was like left wing. Like, they are the glamour players, the strikers, and then good wingers make strikers look fantastic. You know what I mean? If Dan Mackay, Martin Boyle, Chris Cadden, Dre Wright, Stevie Bradley, am I missing one? Jamie Gullen, whoever's playing in the wide areas are on top form, and Kevin Nisbet and Christian Doidge, if they're here, will score goals, or whoever it is up front. If you put enough balls in the good quality balls in the box, or you've got the little added caveat of Scott Allen putting lovely through balls through, hopefully, then I don't see any reason why we wouldn't score goals. And just maybe go back to Dan Mackay. I think I've seen a clip just after we signed him of a few goals he scored for Inverness. They were all runs where he was driving in from the wing and he was scoring in central positions. You know what I mean? He wasn't scoring goals where he had like maybe cut inside and whipped in the back corner. He definitely wants to get through the middle. We know that Jamie Murphy's capable of contributing some goals. Maybe didn't see it enough last season, but like the Dundee United semi-final, he came on and looked really, really good. And I'm quite excited about this season. I think just being able to go to the games as well gets you excited. Maybe you start to get over the shite at the end of last season and you look at it and you know what, we do have a good squad of players here. I think we probably all expected a little bit more movement in and around the squad, but as of yet, it's not materialised. As the days go on, I'm more confident that Josh Doig's still going to be a Hibs player. I'm more confident that Ryan Porter's going to be a Hibs player. The only one that I am still probably questioning them is Nisbet, but we've not yet, I don't think, faced an offer for him. So as far as I'm concerned, he's a Hibs player, and he will be a Hibs player right now until the end of the window. And as long as if he does go, we've got time to replace him. That's going to be the main thing. But you mentioned Kyle McGuinness. Do you think, I know, like you say, it's maybe against lesser opposition on Thursday, but do you think it'd be quite I don't know, sign intense the way, or a tip to his cap, but if Kyle McGuinness gets to start on Thursday night, do you think that might show us where Jack Ross is thinking for the midfield balance this season?
I think so. I think so. I think that's a genuine indication that that's the way we're going if he plays the game ahead of Gogic. I want to ask Greg a question, if that's all right, because I think Greg has been quite critical of the centre-back pairing last season, and I think rightly so at times, been quite critical of the centre-back pairing last season. I think if we are to play 4 at the back with kind of 2, what you'd like to call not natural stoppers in front of them, and McGuinness and Newell, maybe more forward-thinking players, does that worry you going into the season that we've got only 2 centre-halves?
He's been positive as anything like
that. I wouldn't say it worries me, because I think when you play 4 at the back, it's a totally different setup, you know. Ryan Pope just did go on a couple of mazes on Friday and that didn't end well, but I think to be honest, the 2 of them are grown up enough to read situations on the park, and there's a good point about Gogic actually probably rolls into this one that probably a bit of a snob that he should not be playing every game for him because he's not required. We shouldn't be playing with a holding midfield player of that ilk against lesser teams at home. We should be playing on the front foot. That's certainly what I would want to see us. But in terms of centre half, I think they are good centre halves. They're just at times they can be prone to mistakes, and Port just play more than Hanlon, to be fair. Although Hanlon did make an arse of it.
We can't comment because just like Paul Hanlon switched off at 3-0 up, me and Greg switched off because we were looking at Christian Doyle warming up, taking pictures with Wayne's, and next time we knew the ball was in the back of his net. We have nada clue what happened.
I did hear someone say, for fuck's sake, Hanlon. To be honest, that gives me nightmares. But no, I don't think the two centre halves that we should be worried about them. I would certainly want another one in, but yeah. We'll wait and see. Maybe by the end of the Motherwell game, I'll be slating them again, but we'll see.
And Jamie McCart.
Try to be as positive as possible.
Left sided centre half, Jamie McCart.
I'm a left sided centre half, but I'm not worth $500,000 apparently. So,
and neither
if St Johnston won $500,000 for Jamie McCart, then they can run up my ribs. But yeah, we'll wait and see. I'm not going to. I would have liked to see McCart, but certainly not for that type of money.
I think that's just what I think it all just comes back to. The way we know we've got a good foundation in the squad, and we know that it's definitely adding. You know what I mean? It's not overhaul. It's just adding. What is it? Cherry on top of the cake, whatever you want to call it. It's like just adding little bits and pieces that are going to improve us. Whether you like it, whether people liked it better or not, and we had the third best defence in the league last season. So there is also an argument for don't fix what's not broken. Like, every team concedes goals. You know what I mean? Like, every defender makes mistakes. Every striker will miss a chance. Every goalkeeper will make a mistake. Like, every winger will try and take on a fullback and not beat him. Like, it does happen. I always think goalkeepers and the centre-backs especially, if they make a glaring mistake, a lot of the time it will lead to a goal. But I'm okay with the centre-half pairing. I really am. I think, like what Greg said, Ryan Pope just did get sucked into probably just try to play too much football, but again, it's pre-season. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. Like, I was really impressed actually. I commented this too, Greg, during the game. I don't remember us going long at all on Friday night. Some passes maybe in behind the fullback, but that came from like the midfield area. Macy put a couple of balls straight out of play, but he was trying to like ping it to the fullbacks. I don't remember, Greg, correct me if I'm wrong, but I really don't remember us going route one at all, and if it was, maybe once or twice, but I don't remember us trying to hit Nisbet straight away, which
it was very deliberate what we were doing. We weren't trying to shunt the ball up. We were trying to play out from the back, and you know what? Sometimes you do overplay it. It happens, but yeah, we certainly weren't looking to just find Nisbet straight off. We were trying to work it and build it up. And I think that's good because you've got Newland there that can play a bit, and Scott Allen and Kyle McGuinness as well. So you've got three midfield players in the middle of the park that can all pick a pass out and play a ball in behind or whatever. So yeah, I like that. I obviously prefer playing three at the back, but you know what, if we need to play forward, just have that wee bit more insurance at the back, and then it also adds going forward with the maybe five in midfield and one up front or whatever, then by all means.
I think it was interesting as well. Harry came away from the game at the weekend on Friday night absolutely raving about Kyle McGuinness. So maybe Kyle McGuinness is a new Papa Gogic. Like, maybe Harry's going to be listening along tonight thinking, yeah, no, Papa Gogic is benched in Harry's idolisation.
I think so, when you give a player a 4-year contract, that's a sign of intent in itself.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, mate. And I think what you were saying earlier, I think about the defensive midfielder and stuff like that.
Yeah.
See if we think back to that, like the cup winning side, and then the side that first got when we were back in the league. There was some games you needed Marvin Bartley. There was some games you were fine with Dylan McGee up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Joe Newell can take the ball off the centre halves and sort of sit and win the ball back now and again, probably similar to how Dylan McGeoch done it. To what effect? Some Hibs fans will tell you Dylan McGeoch was the best player since sliced bread. Some people will tell you he was shite. You know what I mean? Probably tells you that Joe Newell's probably just about as good as him at doing it. And some games you needed Marvin Bartley, and some games you will need Alex Gogic, maybe derbies when it gets a bit hard hitting, Celtic, Rangers, whoever. Some away games and winter when the ball just spends half the time in there. There's going to be, it's a long season, and I think there is going to be a role for everyone. Obviously got Jake Doyle-Hayes in there as well, who by all accounts seems to be a sort of more sitting midfielder that probably more comfortable on the ball than Gogic as well. So it'll be interesting to see what role he plays. Obviously, so it looks like he's picked up a knock quite in his first game or second game, and he hasn't featured since. But it is European week. As we say, we're facing FC Santa Coloma. Liam, got any facts about this 35-year-old Andorran team?
I fucking do my research for this podcast. I take this really seriously, so I have been doing research. They finished third in the Andorran League last season, which is obviously, anyone can find it out. But I did have a wee look back into their European record because I was interested to see how they've got on. Been Andorran champions a few times, and actually being from Andorra doesn't take a huge amount for you to get into European competition every season, at least not the qualifiers. So they've been in the qualifiers a number of times. They've never actually won a tie, I don't think, from looking at their record. They've won a few one-off games. So they beat a team from San Marino, they beat a team from Armenia in a one-off game. I think they might have beat a team from Iceland, Valur of Iceland.
Can I make a really obvious observation of your research? Of course they've won a tie. They won a tie to play us.
Well, they won that one fucking tie. They actually did win the tie against that San Marino team because it was just a one game that they played, so they beat them 1-0. Okay. But up until then, their biggest result in their history in 2007, 2008, they beat Greg's favourite team, Maccabi Tel Aviv, 1-0, at home in Andorra, and then lost the following leg 4-0 away from home. Shades of Scotland against Netherlands to get into the European Euro 2000, whatever it was, or the World Cup qualifiers, winning the first leg 1-0. But no, I mean, all jokes aside, they've won a few games in Europe, but that's with the caveat that they qualify for some sort of qualifiers almost every season. I am reliably informed that the Faroese League is weaker than the Andorran League is weaker than the Faroese League. I know we've played a few teams from the Faroe Islands down here, so I would expect us to. I'd expect us to beat them.
As much as you shouldn't find this, I think it's great that we've got them at home first as well. Just like I think if we can score an early goal, like we did against the team for the Faroe Islands, was we were 3-0 up early doors, and 6-0 it ended up in the first leg, and then 6-4 or 6-5 in the second leg.
And to be fair to them, I've given them a bit of a hard time, but they've not really taken over 2 legs. They've not taken any huge pastings, so it's not like they've been on the end of really, really big results. The worst one was 9-1 to Esbjerg of Denmark, who I think are quite a decent side in the Danish league, and that was 17 years ago. So it's not like they're going to get scudded every single time they play, but I think the quality of the opposition at the early stages in the European qualifiers is pretty poor. Yeah.
To be honest, these are the games you absolutely love on Football Manager. It's just like all-out attack, and defending becomes non-existent.
4-2-4.
Yeah. wing backs, like two centre halves, wing backs, no centre mids, just everyone at like the number 10 position.
Aye, with the youngsters playing in every position.
Obviously, without getting us too far ahead of ourselves, UEFA always sort of do the qualifiers a round ahead. So if we do get through this tie, which I think we've all said we expect us to do, it's HNK. Is it Rijeka? And then I'm leaving a team from Malta because I don't know what to try. Jazara United, GZIRA United. Both countries are on the green list currently. Apparently Malta's just been put on a dodgy list for the EU, so they might end up getting moved back. But both are currently on the green list. I mean, just going from reputation, I would expect it to be the Croatian team that we would face. And I was just scrolling through Twitter today, and I seen someone being like, "Oh, if you play them, you'll get pumped because they've got a striker called Rimmich or something. It's like he was at Norwich. He signed for Norwich, but he never scored for Norwich in the Premiership in 26 games. He's not scored for Switzerland for 2 years, and he scored 6 in 16 league games for them. So I don't know how good he actually is. He looks like a shitty Kevin Nisbet as far as I'm concerned.
I think we got a very kind draw there. I'm just going to say that as well. I think a very kind draw. I think when we could have played like Feyenoord, I know are a bit of a faded light in the Dutch league, but still a massive club. Ghent, who've got a few really top quality European international players. I think we could have got. I don't know what Pacos de Ferreira would have been like, to be honest, but I think that was the most favourable of the draws. Not least because the two countries are in the fucking green list, but actually, the potential to go. But I think the quality of teams. I think we've got to be really happy with that draw. So. Yeah, UEFA are certainly doing well by us. I don't think Edinburgh City Council are being quite as helpful, but UEFA as an organisation, I think we can be all right with for now.
Yeah, as it stands, although Hibs have just tweeted, is it
4,700? An extra 2,700 going on sale.
Aye, tomorrow at 10.
Shambles.
2,700 tickets on sale at 10 o'clock on Tuesday morning. How are we only getting 4,700, man?
Oh, it's an absolute joke. Do you know what? They just make it up as they go along. Like I don't get it. How can Aberdeen get? What do they get?
Aberdeen got just under 6.
So they got just under 6, and we're getting 4,700.
For a bigger stadium. I mean, football's clearly the subject that we're all here to talk about. But while we're on sporting events, I think we need to highlight the class apartheid that's been set out by the Scottish Government and
local authority,
the City Council against football teams. But the Scottish Government will have been consulted as part of this decision. So we allowed 16,500 fans in for the rugby about 5 weeks ago. We're now all this time down the line, and we're no further forward with football. In a lower tier, it's just it's beggars belief, that decision. To be honest, I think. There was something in my head that I knew it was going to be a really low number like this, but I kind of had hope for probably closer to 8,000-9,000. I thought that would have been fair, given that most football.
I wonder if something will come out and say why they've made that decision. I wouldn't imagine so, but I would expect Hibs to be asking the questions, surely, to be saying why is it only that? I
assumed that we would end up at about 5-6 because I knew we'd applied for about 9-10, and when I seen the Aberdeen number, and I thought, right, Tawdry's a shithole. It's not the easiest to get in. You know what I mean? It's not that easy to get in and out of. And I thought similar size, but a bit harder. Surely we can, and we've shown that we've already had a game with fans that I don't think Aberdeen have. I don't think they've had a home friendly like we did against Arsenal. And obviously I was at the game against Arsenal, and they only used the one section in the East Stand. So it's like we've shown that we can do it in the West Stand. We've shown we can do it in a section in the East. So surely you can just do that across the rest of the sections in the East Stand. And then why not? And I was speaking to one of my Rangers supporting mates at the weekend, and for once they actually made a good point, which actually really surprised me. So they were limited to 2,000 fans at the weekend, but they were all in one stand. So why can they not have 2,000 in each stand?
It doesn't make sense.
And I think as well, what if they say that 2,000 fans at every ground, but surely it should be done off percentage of capacity.
The argument that Jason Leach and others have hung their hat on from day one is it's not what you do when you're in the stadium, it's how you get there, right? But the difference with Easter Road is that Easter Road is one of the most accessible football stadiums anywhere in the United Kingdom. For anyone who's travelled will know that you can walk to Easter Road from the city centre in about 15 minutes. You can park in most of Leith. There's restrictions and Leith are pretty limited. You can get the bus, but actually the vast majority of season ticket holders, I would imagine, will be going there by their own transport or, like me, walking to the game. So it doesn't make any sense. Look at the weather on Thursday night. It's just an opportunity that's just been missed again by our government to actually give fans a bit of an opportunity to demonstrate that they can behave themselves, that they can go to the football and enjoy themselves without creating all this major risk. Some of the things that are going on elsewhere in the world at the moment, and they're letting this happen, and they're putting 4,700 fans in on Thursday night, to me it's a ludicrous decision, and the club need to be challenging it, to be honest. I would like to think we have challenged it already, and that's what the delay's been.
And the thing is as well, you've got these all these if everything goes to plan. They're saying that we'll be back to full capacities by mid-August if everything goes to plan. Like, so why not? Like you say about Easter Road, I was just saying when you said that. See, if you had people on every stand on Easter Road, you could actually, as much as it maybe wouldn't be as desirable, maybe some people have to go out their way, or you could say if you're coming for this side, you sit in that stand. You could actually have each stand going a completely separate route out the stadium. You could have the famous five go down St Clair Street, the east stand go out towards like what was formerly the Lock-In. You could have the away stand going over, I forgot the name of the bridge, out there. And you could have the west stand coming out sort of onto like Albion Place, like just down that way, you know what I mean? Like in the immediate, you could literally have all four stands on four different paths. You know what I mean? Going in like, each corner of the ground is almost, the only corner of the ground that isn't accessible is between the east stand and the west stand, whereas every other corner of the stadium has a direct route into it where you could put, like what do they use mind when we play like Hearts and that, they put the sort of police barrier up. You could put one of them up and you could only, if you know what I mean, you just get told if you're in that stand, this is the way you have to come and go. I'm sure people would manage to find a seat in the stand and they needed, you know what I mean, for the easiest route for them to get to the game. It's ridiculous, but
people aren't stupid. Like, people, I'm sure, can pick a seat that's safely away from others or whatever. I just think it's incredible the way that this has been handled, that football clubs need to apply. So Hibs have got a 21,000 seater stadium. Hibs need to apply for more than 2,000 tickets. It just seems absolutely incredible and devoid of any logic.
And none of us are fucking scientists or doctors, right, or anything, but all reports have stated that the vaccine does not particularly perform well outdoors. It's not going to travel from person to person. Perform well is a bad choice of phrase. So even the pure science doesn't back up the decision making. Like, I feel like we could go over our old ground here for ages, but I think we just need to put a line in the sand and say it's wrong, and I hope the club are doing something about it. But I'm disappointed because there's more than half our season tickets holders are not going to get to go to the game, and that to me feels really unfair for a lot of fans.
Yeah,
we're going to miss out.
And the club's hands are totally tied. Just if we, like, I think the club even had some backlash today. Like, people maybe saying, why are you putting them on sale at 3 o'clock? Why are you putting them on sale at 10 o'clock? I'm sure people will probably question that, but there's no time that's going to suit everyone. You know what I mean? And like, the club can only do what the club can do. What worries me is that we get to the start of the league games and we're still at 4,700, and that is going to be a case of like, half the season ticket holders get one game, half the season ticket holders get the next game, and then you're going to potentially have people missing a Hearts game, and like, oh, you got to see Hibs v Hearts, Celtic and Rangers, I got to see them against fucking whoever else is in the league. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's going to be difficult for the club, and I think it's time that the SPFL, I know, like you said, put a line in it, but the SPFL need to get all their clubs together and really start questioning. And I mean, you look at down south, they've done everything they can to accommodate the Premier League. Like, whereas up here, it's just been total opposite. But, so Greg, Liam, me and you managed to get tickets today. Greg, did you manage to get a ticket for the game today?
No, I was too busy working, mate.
I managed to navigate it whilst in a meeting. Did you, are you going to try and get tickets tomorrow morning, or? Yeah,
well, since we're allowed a few more folk in, I'll attempt it. But yeah, I feel like the club are in a difficult position at the moment because folk will get pissed off, and it's not even the club's fault. It's nothing that they can do. But yeah, I'm going to try and get tickets. If not, then I might just have to sit my ass on the couch and watch Dougie Donnelly on the telly. And
what are your thoughts on Dougie Donnelly, Greg?
Surely it can't be worse than Canada.
Surely no. Apparently it was quite good. People
I've heard a lot of good reviews.
Said it was really good. It felt like he had done his, like, felt really. Well, I think Tanner maybe tried too hard to be. What was it? And he always said he said Hibs wrong or something. He always fucks it big time. But I mean, hopefully, I'm praying to God I don't have to watch Hibs past once this season. But I'm sure that time will come.
I'm guessing the game will be on Hibs pass.
It's 9.99.
Oh, tenner. Oh well. There's me saying, oh, you can't can't blame the club, but well, there we go.
If they give it away for free, then they would go.
No, I'm not asking for a free, but a tenner. Come on.
Come on now.
Make it a fiver. Jesus.
Split with your mom. There's a fiver ahead. Well, for the first time this season, we'll round up with score predictions. Hibs versus FC Santa Coloma. Is it Coloma? Who knows?
Coloma.
Neither you.
It is.
I would also just like to say for what feels like the second or third podcast in a row, Harry and Liam wrongly corrected me on last week's podcast. It was against Motherwell when Package Abbey launched the 3-kick. They were both adamant it was Kelly. I was sick fed up for getting called out on being right on this podcast. I get called out for being wrong enough. So, but Liam, what's your score prediction going to be? How confident are you? 6, 7, 8, or?
Nah, I'm not thinking it'll be that kind of scoreline. I think I'm going to go 4-0. I think we'll get a goal just before half time. It'll break their spirits, and I think we'll come out second half and just have a wee bit too much. Then 4-0 Hibs, and I'm going to go with goal scorers because we've not done this in a while. So I'm feeling creative. I'm going to go Nisbet, Allen, and a Martin Boyle double.
Nice. Greg?
I'm going to go for 5-0.
I've taken my first two scores. I was going to go 4 there. I thought I'll go 5.
Scorers. I think Paul Hanlon will get one for a corner.
Right.
Nisbet will get 2. McGuinness, and I'll say Daniel Mackay as well.
Right. Well, seeing as 4 and 5 have been taken, and I really hope we don't concede a goal. So I'll go 6. I'll take 6. I'll be the clip for when it fucking backfires. I'll take 6 now, and I'm going to take Martin Boyle double, Kevin Nisbet hat trick, and Dan Mackay late on. I don't think Dan Mackay will start, but I think he'll come on. I'm going to say Kevin Nisbet will get a hat trick, get himself right in the short window, but get him into form as well. I was actually quite impressed with Kevin Nisbet from what I've seen against Arsenal and Raith Rovers, so I think he'll have a good game on Thursday. But yeah, no, that's us tonight. We've covered everything from summer football to Hibs playing some Andorran team to more about the Scottish government.
Andorran team.
You fucking love that, Greg.
Absolutely, mate. I've missed it.
But no, we'll be back next week, next Monday, obviously reviewing the first European game. We should be at full strength for the first time in a while. I don't think there's Greg. You're not away till the following weekend, are you?
Yeah.
We should be at full strength next Monday. Fingers crossed. But we'll be back next week. Catch you later on. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.